Republican Governor Jan Brewer and Democratic Senator Dick Durbin with very different reactions to the Supreme Court case this week challenging the Arizona crackdown on illegal immigrants. And it's time now for our Sunday group. Britt Hume, Fox News senior political analyst. Liz Marlantis of the Christian Science Monitor. Kimberly Strassel from the Wall Street Journal. And Charles Lane of the Washington Post. Well, the court watchers say it's always dangerous to read too much into the questions the justices ask and therefore to predict how they're going to rule. But there was a widespread perception, Britt, that they did not think that much of the administration's arguments in its lawsuit to strike down the Arizona crackdown, just as they seem skeptical of the president's Obamacare, at least in the individual mandate. Let's present a hypothetical. How damaging to the president if in June the court were to rule that this former constitutional law professor, the president, was on the wrong side of the Constitution, both on the Arizona law and on Obamacare?
I think it's damaging because, particularly with regard to health care, this is the centerpiece of his domestic agenda, his proudest achievement. And if it is struck down by the Supreme Court, it then bears a stamp of illegitimacy. It is already unpopular. It would, I think, in the aftermath of that, be even more so. And I think it would be, I don't think that there's any, there's some three-cushion bank shot where people argue that, well, it would take the issue off the table and that would be good for him and so forth. I don't buy that. I think that the Arizona law may be even more trouble with the court than the healthcare law. I don't think it's as important or essential as the healthcare law, but I don't think it would help him either to have his position on enforcement of the immigration laws resisted by the Supreme Court. I think that's embarrassing, and it also would give that Arizona law a kind of a boost in the public's imagination.
I mean, Liz, these are two big issues in American domestic politics and policy, health care, immigration. If the Supreme Court upholds or basically goes against him on both, isn't that tough?
Well, on health care, I think possibly. I think it's going to be different for the Arizona law. I do think that, yes, you'll have conservatives making the argument, making the incompetence argument, saying, the former constitutional law professor is on the wrong side of the Constitution on all of these issues. But particularly in the case of the Arizona law, I think there's a good chance that if the court rules against the Obama administration's position, that could actually really fire up Hispanic voters. And that's something that the president wants and needs going into the fall election. I mean, we already know that he's not going to win white voters, that he's in trouble with white voters this time around. And so he's going to need to win a bigger share, if possible, of the minority vote, and particularly the Hispanic vote. Hispanics are going to be really key in a number of swing states this year. And so I do think there's the chance that even if it goes against the Obama administration, there could be some political fallout that could be beneficial to them.
Well, let's talk about the Hispanics and how they would react to that, Kim, because the argument is that the president can rally this key block of voters, the Hispanic voters, if the court upholds the Arizona law. But that may not be quite the slam dunk that people think. And let's put up the poll about Hispanics on the screen. A recent poll found that Hispanics are split on the crackdown. 45% want the Arizona law upheld, while 43% want it overturned. Now, that doesn't take into account the intensity question, but it's not a slam dunk that all the Hispanics want to see the Arizona law overturned.
Look, I don't think there's any question that this president has hoped that this would be a political help for him, and he has demagogued this issue against the Republicans. He's given a lot of speeches on this. There was certainly a belief that this court case was brought by the government in part to mobilize Hispanics. But I think he's got a couple of problems. One is the poll that you mentioned, which is that it's not uniform that all Hispanics think that simple enforcement of existing federal immigration law is a problem. Two is that the cornerstone of the Obama argument has been, you need to support us because we're going to do comprehensive immigration reform. The problem for the president is he has been all talk and no action on that ever since he got into office. It's been at the bottom of his priority list. And I think there becomes a point at which Hispanic voters begin to wonder how seriously he actually takes this.
Now, the other side of that would be Mitt Romney. Let's assume the justices strike down the law, or rather uphold the law. What does Mitt Romney do? It's kind of a ticklish question. He's trying to get back in their good graces. Does he want to campaign against Obama and say, see, you were wrong, the Arizona law is good? And that necessarily wouldn't be so good for him in terms of attracting some Hispanic voters.
I suppose that's true, and he's already begun to kind of dial back a little bit of the rhetoric that he was involved in the primary campaign. But honestly, I don't think it's going to go that way. I do think this law is going to be struck down, and there is very powerful symbolism apropos this whole issue of Latino voters. The justice who asked the toughest, most quotable question against the Obama position on this was Sonia Sotomayor, the first Hispanic justice, and she's the one who said, your argument's not selling very well up here. If her vote goes against the administration, I think that would help go a long way toward, you know, defusing the whole question of whether this is a one-sided.
I mean, are you saying that you think it's going to be struck down or upheld?
Struck down is what I'm saying, and if it is struck down.
No, but she was arguing on behalf of the law.
In other words,
No, she was telling Obama's lawyer.
Right, they wanted it upheld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Obama people wanted it upheld.
I understand that.
No, they want it struck down.
I'm sorry, that's
what it's
right.
trying to
Right.
The Obama people want the law.
The lower court's decision.
I think what I said was the Obama position would be struck down.
Struck down.
Okay, got it.
Now, what are you saying, that you think that the court is going to rule in favor or against the Arizona law?
Against the Arizona law, right?
No.
In favor, in favor of the Arizona law.
we
Right?
made that clear as mud.
Against the Obama position, sorry.
All right, anyway, you know, if I wish we could do take two here, but anyway, let me ask a question, because it has been suggested, Brett, that if the court goes against Obama on both of these issues, I'm glad we're putting a picture of the court while we get the egg off our face, if the justices rule against the president, both on Obamacare and on the Arizona, that he could then turn the court itself into an issue and campaign against this conservative court. And you got to elect me because there could be openings and I can put more moderate or more liberal people on the court. But let's look at what, again, public opinion is very interesting. Let's look at the polls on this. By a margin of 49% to 38%, voters say the court should overturn Obamacare. They're in favor of overturning Obamacare. And by an even wider margin, 62% to 27%, they say the court should uphold the Arizona law. So, Brett, how effective would it be to run against a court which, if it does go against the president in both of these cases, would be on the side of public opinion?
Well, I think it would be exceedingly ineffective because of the reasons you cite. The polls suggest a couple of reasons why. The third reason is that the Supreme Court now enjoys, in the public's imagination, higher ratings than any other branch of government. Now, the Supreme Court is more controversial than perhaps it once was, but it is nowhere near as it has positive approval ratings, which in Washington is remarkable. So I don't think this president comes out well if he's in a pitched battle of some kind, or picks one with the one institution in town that people mostly respect, particularly after it's struck down a couple of positions that he's taken that are rather central to his outlook.
All right, we're going to take a break here. We're going to hit the reset button.